If you haven't been down to district court, in this case Division 1, there is so much good that takes place every day in our community. And with me is Judge Meredith Schweitzer for the very last time.
Good
Welcome,
morning.
Judge Schweitzer.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me this morning.
We appreciate so much you're getting together with us and reflecting a little bit on your tenure here at the court.
Absolutely. I'm thankful for the opportunity. It's been a wonderful 2 years.
And you certainly began with a legacy, didn't you?
I did. For those of you that don't know, I took the bench in January of 2017, after Judge Schweitzer, my father, and my predecessor passed away. The governor was kind enough to grant me the appointment, which lasted for 2 years, and the end of the 2 years is coming up at the end of this year. So one of the beautiful things about coming to district court was the fact that I was able to carry on Judge Schweitzer's legacy by continuing some of the programs that he had put in place and improve on those programs.
So speaking of those programs, there were 3 specific courts that your father visualized as being very important for the community. Let's go into those.
Sure. The first is the DWI court, which of course Judge Schweitzer started many years ago. He was one of the first judges in the state of Arkansas to establish a DWI court, and we have taken that concept and tried to grow it over the last 2 years and improve upon it as we gain more information and knowledge and education about how specialty courts such as the DWI court can benefit DWI offenders and protect the community and make Garland County a safer place.
So like the other specialty courts that you'll talk about in just a minute, it takes a lot of partners to make that happen?
It does. We partner with providers for substance and alcohol abuse in the community. Of course, I have a DWI court team that meets monthly, along with all the DWI court participants. They come to court the third Friday of the month, and we go over all the special terms and conditions of their sentencing to make sure that they're complying. We also administer random drug and alcohol testing to make sure that they're staying clean, dry, and sober, which of course is a benefit to our community. We have, over the last 2 years, made some improvements to our probation services so that we're taking a more holistic approach to monitoring individuals who have placed on probation, which has been wonderful. We've actually privatized that process, and we are focusing on catching criminalistic behavior earlier in the probation process so that we can stop it and prohibit or reduce recidivism in the future.
How interesting. So it's a much more proactive approach?
Absolutely, I would say we're being more proactive. I think previously probation was sort of forgive me, it's what's the word I'm looking for?
Somewhat negative?
Well, it wasn't negative. We are using it, a negative, that's a good way to put it. We're using it as a more positive tool in my toolbox to ensure compliance with the law and, like I said, reduce recidivism. So we put in place educational requirements. We put in place treatment requirements. We have seen over the last 2 years numerous individuals receive their GED or their high school diploma, individuals that I've placed on probation, and of course that Judge Ohm has placed on probation. So there's been an increase in those individuals that come through the court system who are receiving their education, which of course not only benefits them, but it benefits the community as a whole.
So that negative perception, perhaps, of probation has actually, it sounds like, been turned around in a way because the more structure and accountability, the more success is realized?
That's true. We are realizing more successes through the probation program. Now, I can't speak for a defendant who comes to the court. Obviously, it is still a sanction that we use, but in the long run, we are requiring those individuals to receive training, receive education, receive treatment that betters themselves in the long run. So overall, I think the community is a safer place, and we are hopefully turning people back out into the community in a more productive manner.
And DWI is a significant issue in our community, right?
Absolutely it is. I would say the numbers have probably increased over the last 2 years in terms of the number of offenses that I see an individual come before me with. But I also think, on the other hand, the success that we've had in our DWI court, it's been really effective. I've seen long-term sobriety periods out of individuals who have suffered from alcoholism and substance abuse for their entire lives. So we are making a difference, and we're making some positive changes, but we couldn't do that without the partnerships that we have with individuals in the community, volunteers, programs, and providers that come to our DWI court and invest their time and energy into making it such a success.
And we do have quite a few of providers in the community. We're blessed with that.
That's true. We're very lucky in Garland County to have not only a large faith-based community that takes an interest in our DWI court participants and generally the work that we do in district court, but also we've got community mental health providers and community substance and alcohol abuse providers that have been big stakeholders in what we're trying to do here in district court.
Excellent. Well, let's move on and talk about the veterans in our community, which are such a vital and important part of Hot Springs. How do you serve them these days through Veterans Court, which was another idea of your father's?
Absolutely. I can't take credit for that. Judge Schweitzer did actually start one of the first veterans courts in the state of Arkansas. I'm proud to say that over the last 2 years, we have actually won awards for the work that we've been doing with our Veterans Court. One of the beautiful things about the Veterans Administration in Arkansas is that they dedicate a specific program outreach individual to work with our court. So Ms. Phyllis Wilkins, who I'm so proud to work with, has dedicated her time and energy to being of service to individuals who come before me who are service members, past service members, current service members. She will do an assessment and make sure that that individual receives all the resources that they're entitled to through the Veterans Administration, as well as any treatment that may be necessary. The idea is that we can utilize the resources that are already in place through the Veterans Administration and hopefully rehabilitate that individual so that they can avoid the justice system in the future. It's unfortunate that they've come to us in the first place. The benefit, though, of recognizing that an individual is a veteran is that we can institute certain monitoring mechanisms and engage in those resources that are already available, like I said, to avoid any future involvement with the justice system. And in 2017, one of our DWI court and veteran court members, Steve Ezell, won a nationally recognized award for his work with veterans in this community. And then also I was thankful enough in 2017 to be awarded the first ever outstanding service award through the Veterans Administration for the work that we've done with the veterans in our community. So I'm very proud of that program, where it began and where it is today. And hopefully we're reaching more individuals as they come before me.
Those are some very significant awards.
Yes, we have been very blessed to be recognized for the hard work that we're doing. And again, when I say hard work that we're doing, I merely sit here and administer things. I could not do what I do on a daily basis without the support of my staff, without the support of the Veterans Administration and the local support from the VFWs, the local support from Stanley B. At the county, who has been a major stakeholder and a major supporter of our Veterans Court, Steve Ezell with the Department of Workforce Services. So there are many individuals who come together on a monthly basis to make this a real benefit to the community.
We've had Steve Ezell on the program before, and it's obvious that he has a passion for helping veterans.
That's true. That's true.
And Stanley B. as well. He's very active in local talk radio and making sure that veterans get all the benefits that they need and deserve.
Absolutely. One of the unfortunate things that I have come to discover while I've been on the bench is that many veterans don't know what services they're entitled to and have not received the proper documentation to even begin that process. So that's one of the things that we are trained to recognize and to assist with is identifying veterans first, and that process starts all the way from law enforcement encountering an individual on the street to the jail to the courthouse. So we've instituted that training, and now once we recognize that an individual is a veteran, we can go through the process of getting them in contact with the Veterans Administration to make sure that they get the proper documentation to receive medical, mental, dental, and all other types of services, including housing and transportation.
Well, that's a side benefit that can last the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
So they're very fortunate to be able to receive those services, and that takes personal one-on-one time, I would imagine.
It does, but the long-lasting effects of assisting someone with those resources is, it pays us back threefold.
Absolutely.
Especially in terms of housing and transportation, because oftentimes when veterans return to the States after their service period, they go through a rough transition period, and some of them have to get back on their feet again. Of course, some of the long-term effects may take years and years to realize. It's unfortunate that they've come into contact with the court system, but now that they have, hopefully we can take that extra step and get them in contact with the people that they need to be in contact with to ensure that they get those services that are so crucial.
I would imagine another side benefit is a feeling that they've been treated as a person, who has dignity and respect from those around him.
I was not a service
Or
member
her.
myself, but I can tell you that the honor that these men and women have shown to their country deserves my respect, deserves our respect, and it's a minimum that we can do to make sure that the basic needs and the basic services that they're entitled to, that they are receiving. So there is, I consider it part of my duty, not just as a judge, but as someone who lives pursuant to the freedoms that they've provided us. So it's really an amazing thing to watch in court when we encounter a veteran and are able to help a veteran receive those services.
Yes, all of us citizens do need to show them the respect that they deserve. There is no way to adequately thank them for what they have
That's
done
true.
for all of us. Mental health court is another huge area
Yes.
that you take care of. As if the other two areas aren't enough, tell us about some of the advances with mental health court.
Well, the DWI court, the Veterans Court, and the Mental Health Court are all courts that we operate in addition to our daily docket. So I would be remiss if I didn't say that the work that we're doing on a daily basis with just our general docket is overwhelming. Very rewarding, but also very overwhelming. But what we've realized in having such a large docket for so long is that there are certain sectors of the population that we can target and hopefully treat and monitor in a certain way in order to hopefully reduce recidivism. And one of those is in the area of mental health. It's no surprise to most individuals that Garland County has a larger than what I would say normal population of individuals who are suffering from mental illness. And oftentimes the lack of treatment for that mental illness results in criminalistic behavior. What I've realized over the past 2 years is that I'm seeing the same individuals over and over who are suffering from mental illnesses and then creating or committing criminal acts. And the reason for that is because the underlying illness is not being treated. So we've been able to identify a handful of those individuals, or as they arise, and place them on somewhat of a specialty docket, like we do the DWI docket and we do the Veterans docket. And I've been lucky enough to work with Washita Behavioral Health and Wellness, Qualpa House Incorporated, and other local providers, both private and community providers, who will provide services to those individuals, continue to monitor those individuals, much like we would do while they're on probation, and ensure that while they're being treated and monitored, they're not continuing to offend. So we've seen some unbelievable success in that area. Even though we don't have a structured mental health court, if you will, we have been really addressing these needs more aggressively for this area of the population, and I think have seen a significant reduction in recidivism from individuals who are suffering from quite significant mental illnesses.
That's really great news, because our law enforcement agencies here and others will tell you that there is such a mental health problem, and along with that, a lack of services to some extent, because the problem is so widespread.
That's true, and there's always and there always will be a conflict between involving that individual suffering from mental illnesses in the criminal justice system, through law enforcement, and diverting them to the proper treatment mechanism. By the time that they've gotten to me, obviously they're already involved in the criminal justice system, but we are becoming more educated and more aware of what the mental illness looks like and how it contributes to the criminal behavior, so we can put those individuals in touch with the right medical providers to ensure that they're getting treatment, they're getting medication, they're getting counseling, whatever it is that they need to address the underlying problem to hopefully avoid the symptom, which is the criminal behavior.
Excellent. That is so interesting to talk about the specialty courts that are within the overall umbrella of district court work that you do every day. I imagine that over the last 2 years, there are a lot of people that you'd like to acknowledge along the way.
That's true. I've been so fortunate to serve Garland County over the last 2 years. It has been truly the honor of my life to serve in this capacity. But I could not do what I do every day without the support of my team here at District Court. I'd like to give a special thank you to not only Judge Ohm, my partner in Division 2, but also Mark Allen, who is our trial court administrator, as well as our chief clerk, Vicki Asher. Without these three individuals and the numerous clerks who work under their direction, the numerous bailiffs who work under their direction, we could not pull off what we do on a daily basis. If you haven't, come down to District Court and witness what we do on a daily basis. It truly is overwhelming, but also very rewarding to see how we run through such a voluminous docket, but also how we're able to reach people often in taking a little extra time with each person who comes before us. In addition to my team here, of course, law enforcement has been an unbelievable partner and supporter of me and what I've tried to do on the bench. So I would be remiss if I didn't thank Chief Stacey and Sheriff McCormick and his teams for all that they've done to help me get acclimated. Of course, the Public Defender's Office and the Prosecutor's Office have been so helpful. I've had the pleasure of working with Frank Poff, Terry Askew, Ron Kelsey, Tamara Barrett, and the list goes on and on and on, members of the Public Defender's Office and the Prosecutor's Office, and just generally the providers in the community, my team, the Prosecutor's Office, the Public Defender's Office, law enforcement. These individuals took the time to help me get acclimated to the bench in what was, to me, a very unfortunate situation after the passing of my father, but it has been, like I said, a true honor. And I could never thank them enough for, and you too, Terry, for giving me the opportunity to highlight the wonderful things that we've done here in District Court. Without the community recognizing and realizing the wonderful things we do here, we wouldn't be able to continue to do these good things and get volunteers from the community who are invested and interested in the things that we do here. So thank you to you.
You're most welcome. You do need that community support. You can't operate in a vacuum.
Absolutely.
Have there been any
Absolutely.
surprises along the way?
Every day is a surprise. I don't know that I can pick just one, because, like I said, if you've ever sat through District Court or District Court docket, every single day I'm surprised by people. I'm surprised by myself, and that's the beauty of it. No 2 days are the same. So, like I said, I encourage individuals to come down and actually witness what it is that we do down here, because we do a lot of good things. There are a lot of routine things that we do, but every day I like to say we are able to help at least one individual. And if that's the case, we've done our job.
Is that the most rewarding part of what you've done?
Absolutely, absolutely. I assumed in my previous life that being a judge would consist of enforcing the law, making routine rulings. What I didn't expect and what I didn't realize is that on many occasions I would have the opportunity to help an individual. And that seems counterintuitive, because these individuals come to me for criminal behavior. And oftentimes violations. I don't mean to make light of traffic citations and those sorts of things, but there are often situations where I encounter a defendant who is before me for reasons beyond their control. And there have been opportunities where we've been able to, and I say we, me and my staff, I don't do it alone, but we've been able to reach that individual, provide them with some services, and ensure that we don't see them back here. And at the end of the day, if we can do that, if we can reduce the number of times I see an individual, that is a success, not only for our court system, but for the community.
What would you like to see just going forward for district court upon your departure and, as the court continues its activities? What do you hope for district court?
I hope to see this court grow in innovation, and I hope to see the court and all future judges embrace what we have already been building here in terms of specialty courts. I think there is a misunderstanding that specialty courts are designed to only help people and not punish people, if you will. Make no mistake, I intend to hold people accountable, and I do that through these specialty courts. The reason why we have them is because we can institute additional monitoring mechanisms and have a little closer contact with the individual. And the research tells us that if we do that, if we spend that extra couple of minutes, we will benefit in not seeing that individual in the future. It just takes, for every 3 minutes that you spend with a defendant, you reduce the likelihood of seeing that individual in court in the future substantially. So that's why we set aside special dockets such as this, so we can take that little extra time with an individual. And I hope that in the future, whoever sits in my seat will embrace that and continue to grow, because as our dockets continue to grow, we will need to put in place additional mechanisms to efficiently process everything that we have to handle down here in district court. I have all the confidence in the world that Judge Ohm and Judge-elect Joe Graham will do such a wonderful job, and I stand ready and willing to assist in any way I can in assisting the court in the future to continue to grow, to continue to innovate, and to continue to be efficient and effective.
And with that, we want to thank you for your 2 years of service, which
Thank
have
you.
been a whirlwind, but so much has been accomplished.
Well,
As you
thank
look
you.
back, I'm sure in many ways, you can see lots of good things for district court.
I appreciate that so much, Terry.
The
It really has
community-
been a pleasure and an honor.
The community can see that as well. We thank you so much for your service, and we certainly wish you all the best in the next leg of your journey, whatever that might be.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And next week, we'll bring you more city news.